Sure.
No, I have it on the office computer, but not on my laptop. Because I should get it. So here you go. You guys, sorry. So first thing you know about MRIs, sorry, that's my 3-year-old, is MRIs are like we're looking at you, or all radiology is like we're looking at you from your feet, right? So if we were going to take an X-ray, if you were standing here, this would be your left lung and your right lung, right? If you're standing back here, but when we take a picture, the left is on the right side. Makes sense? It's like taking a picture.
It's kind of opposite.
Yeah. So you see, like for you to understand, her left side is actually what we're looking at on the right. That's how radiology has been done for 150 years.
Okay.
So on the left side of your brain, again, right side of the picture, you have that. This, I brought this one because this is the normal brain on the other side.
Right.
You see the little things, and then the white is spinal fluid. You see that white all around the tumor, above and below it?
Yeah.
That's all the swelling. That's probably causing a lot of your problems.
Okay.
This is one with dye. This is like we're looking at you face on, so that's your left ear, that's your right ear. So up near the top, there's a tumor.
Right.
Pushing on your brain. And then this is...
And it's so weird because I don't have a headache.
And it's a lot of people don't have headaches. And then there's your tumor. The brain is all about location. It's like, the ultimate in real estate. Unfortunately, the motor area of the brain is really like, this is it right here. So your tumor is literally on top, smack into it.
Where my right leg is?
Right leg and right arm, potentially.
Oh, okay.
Would be there. You don't have any arm weakness yet, but I wouldn't be surprised
Well,
if
I've
you
noticed
did.
my handwriting isn't quite as great.
Yeah, so a lot of that is the tumor pushing, it's swelling, etc. It's hard to say. You want me to email you these too? Sorry. No problem.
I appreciate it.
No problem. I'll just send you the two with dye. They're the easiest to see.
That's fine.
Okay. What's your email address?
NIKOLAJEANE
EA.
JEANE 22 at Gmail.
All right. They don't have your name on them or anything, so they're
Oh, that's fine. Yeah.
okay.
So Nicola Jean 22 at gmail.com.
No problem. Okay.
Thanks.
How intense do you want them to
No,
make it?
just
Moderately large. How's that?
Just yeah.
Okay. So it's probably what's causing your weakness. It's pretty bad actually. Usually people who have these, they're not that weak. It's usually very slow. It looks like something called a meningioma, as they probably told you.
I saw it in the report.
Yeah, it's not a guarantee. Meningioma is a tumor in the covering of the brain, so it's coming from the top of the brain, pushing down. They're very common, more common than uncommon in older women. People think they have estrogen or something, progesterone or something. So if you took an 85-year-old woman and did an MRI on her, the odds are you'd find one. Odds are they would be like 3 millimeters though, and whatever, they're whatever.
Yep.
90-some% of them are benign.
That's what I read.
1% are malignant, and about 2 to 8% are in the middle, sort of. The ones in the middle, usually even after surgery, we usually recommend radiation. The ones that are benign, we don't recommend anything, we just follow them. The goal is to try to they're coming from the covering of the brain, so we try to take the covering of the brain that it comes with. So the brain has this leathery covering, it's like the skin of the brain or whatever,
right.
dura, that's where they come from. Sometimes we're coming from dura on the bottom of the brain, in the center of the brain, places that are too dangerous to take the dura, in which case we will leave some behind sometimes.
But that's not this.
No, well, probably not, but you never know when you get in there. Also, you never know if you're ever going to leave a tiny bit. And then right down the middle there is a really big vein, and you see how it's pretty close to the vein? If it's heading towards the vein, it doesn't look like it's invading the vein. It looks separate, but sometimes they can come from the covering of the brain, which is on the vein. We would leave some behind. We would try to burn it up, but obviously we wouldn't want to tear a big vein and cause you a big stroke or something.
Yeah.
Because going after a tiny bit, when 90-some% of these are benign. If they're benign, we just follow them afterwards.
Okay.
People, options for this, do nothing, which we don't recommend when people are weak, but if you weren't weak, it would be a good option. Option 2 would be radiation. We can do radiosurgery. That causes them not usually to shrink, it just causes them to stabilize. Again, when you're weak, we usually recommend surgery. Other things to know about surgery, there's risk to surgery, the risk bleeding, infection, stroke. And the biggest weakness risk for you would be worsening, and it probably could guarantee your weakness would get worse post-op. But if everything went well and there was no stroke, it should get better over the next few weeks.
You're answering questions I have.
What's the likelihood of a stroke? Is that common?
Odds of stroke are very low, but it's not unheard of. From this, it's more damage as meningiomas are all different. Some of them literally go in, they look like a golf ball. Every once in a while, we actually take off the covering of the brain. We open it, like we have to cut it open, and we pull it, and the tumor just comes out.
Really, like a pop top or something
Literally,
like
just
that?
like boom, it's attached. We're done. Have a nice day.
Wow.
Sometimes I have a lady I'm doing one on Tuesday at Emory. I mean, hers looks like, I mean, it's a calcium rock. It's probably been there, she's 70, it's probably been there 30 years. I mean, it's gonna take me hours. This thing is like, you know, I probably
Really?
need a nuclear arsenal to get it out.
Oh my
So,
God.
depending on what it's like to the surrounding brain. Also, the benign ones can be well calculated. Sometimes they can invade the brain, and that's where the more the damage is. There's a couple ways you get a stroke. One is an artery gets occluded or something like that. But the other major way is, you know, what we call a stroke is if there's a little artery near the tumor or the tumor's invading the brain. We're trying to dissect the tumor off the brain without damaging the brain, but there is no great plane. So if this was like right here, right in front of your brain is pretty well tolerated, you know, you would never know. But here, any little damage will cause weakness because that's where motor and sensation is.
So worst case scenario, if that happened, of where it was, you get the tumor out and the area is somehow damaged, does that get better through rehab and
Usually,
stuff?
but not always. The vast majority of the
So
time
the worst case scenario
would be paralysis of potentially your leg or your arm.
okay.
You're right-handed.
Mm-hmm.
99.9% of right-handed people use the left side of the brain for speech. Speech is a little far away from this,
Mm-hmm.
but it could get damaged, obviously.
Right.
You just add that in there. The other thing to know is near this area is something called the premotor area. I'm getting really technical, but that's kind of what tells you. So when you say, hey, I want to pick up my arm and grab that Purell dispenser,
Mhm.
that's what kind of tells your body, all right, pick up your arm. If that gets damaged, that actually does recover very well,
Mhm.
but that can take about 4 to 6 weeks to recover.
Okay.
And that can actually look like paralysis of even speech or arm or leg, but usually will get better.
Mhm.
Like I told you, I think
But that's
if
probably that's like worst case scenario.
I'm
not
giving you the
very-
worst case, you know, the under
Yeah.
1 or 2%, but I have
Right.
to tell you that to be honest with you.
Absolutely, yeah.
Odds are, if I were to guess, this will come out and you'll be a little weaker post-op, and with rehab in a few weeks, you come back to the office, you look great.
Okay.
Awesome.
So we're saying okay. So that's good. Can I do like
When I say great, I mean back to at least this. I'm hoping you get better than this, but you know, you never know how much damage has been
right
done.
because the initial.
Yeah,
taking
odds
out-
are usually these things. And that, again, you're really weak for this. You know, we see a lot of people with this. It's in the right place to explain it, so, I mean, it is it. But,
Uh-huh.
you know, it's just a little bit, the
So
seizures
maybe
I
it's
can
probably
explain.
like pushing a little bit harder.
Yeah, I
now.
don't really know. I mean,
Yeah.
it might be invasive, it could be something else. Again, there's a whole, we won't know what it is till we get it.
Okay, so this is kind of like what?
The other thing to know is once your brain starts to have seizures, after surgery you can continue to have seizures.
Mhm.
Seizures are not guaranteed. About a third of the time they go away, a third of the time they get better, and about a third of the time they stay the same, and
Okay.
rarely they get worse. But
Because they're like not, you know, like grand mal stuff, and it's not.
the odds are pretty low, but you know, again,
You never know.
There's no guarantee. No one can ever.
But
fix
you'll
seizures.
know, like once you get it out, we just have to see how.
We'll see. We'll keep you on the
it's-
seizure meds for a while. We probably won't take you off of them for at least 6 months.
Gotcha. Okay. So.
Go for it.
Okay. So surgical removal is the way that it's going to be done.
That's what we'd recommend. Obviously, it's
Okay,
your choice.
I'm
You can
good.
Say no to anything you want.
Yes. What do you do? Like I mean I go, you know, scalpel, it's easier, you know.
So, what we would do is sometime in the next week or two, we get you another MRI, great,
Mhm.
after coming to Grady.
The mapping.
Mapping MRI.
Yeah.
So it's called, whatever you want to call it. It's a mapping MRI. What that allows us to do is upload it to our computer system. So after you go to sleep, we put you in, they put you to sleep, they put IVs in your arteries, your veins, they do all kind of crap to you. And then we would put little pins in. And basically, it's a clamp, basically attach your sleep, obviously, to the table so you don't move. That's key. If
Can
you
you take a picture?
you
Never
can
mind,
find,
no,
you
never
can
mind.
find them on the web. They're,
Okay.
There's a lot of them. We then, our computer equipment is able to basically take your head when you're asleep and kind of correspond it to the picture we have. So then using this little thing, which has got little balls on, infrared balls on it, the camera, we can basically point to your nose, and on the screen it will show your nose. If our registration works out, which it almost always does. You know, that's how we'll check it. We'll literally put it on your nose, we'll put it by your eye, put it in your ear, and if those all line up, we'll say, okay, the accuracy is good. Good enough for what we need to do. Then planning-wise, we would use that to help us plan your incision. We would then literally use that thing on the screen to draw your tumor on your skin. You'd be
Okay.
asleep, obviously.
Yeah.
But So we draw your tumor on your skin, and it'd be something like up here, bad drawing, but up on the top here. And then probably just do a linear incision like this with a knife, spread out the tissues, and then we take the drill, and using the drill, we put a couple of holes in, basically, square holes. So what we do is we put holes in. So let's say the tumor's here. We put 4 holes there, and then we take this side cutting drill. It looks like a little L. So we've made holes through the bone, but not the covering of the brain, ideally, although it can get torn. So if you imagine this is the covering of the brain and this is the bone, so we've now made a hole through. So then we take this side cutting drill. I've never done this before, but this side cutting drill between the bone and the covering of the brain, and the drill is here, and we just go zoom and connect the holes.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And then we get
So you get like a square.
a square, a circle,
Whatever.
octagon, whatever. It's not octagon, but you know what I mean. Some
And then
sort of shape.
That just comes off.
Comes off. We would then open the brain, the covering of the brain, find the tumor, take out the tumor, and then put the covering. Probably throw away the covering of the brain because it has the tumor in it with the tumor. The part that has the tumor attached to it, we don't put back in. We just put a synthetic in. It's no big deal up here.
Right.
Spinal fluid is around your brain, but it's drained by gravity, so at the top of your head, it's very well tolerated. So we just lay some fake stuff on,
Okay.
and then we put
And
the bone back
bone back on?
with titanium plates if all goes well, and that'd be it. Close skin, and wake up.
How long does that take to heal?
The skin incision,
Or the where you put the
the bone
bone back?
never heals.
Hmm.
In kids it does, but in adults the bone once you
Okay.
take it out dies. So you just, if we took an X-ray of you, you would see the little troughs and the little plates, but it doesn't.
But it doesn't matter.
Yeah, if you really have thin scalp, you could feel. You probably will feel it, but walking down the mall, no one would know.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay.
Especially given your hair, my hairline. In the future,
Oh.
I would have problems. But yeah,
What?
hair will shave your hair.
Yeah.
It won't grow back where we cut the skin, but it will grow back around it, and it'll be fine.
Oh, so like
The
that
actual
line.
part where we cut won't grow back, but 1 millimeter above and below it will.
That's fine. I'll
Yeah.
let my hairdresser know. She'll be fine. What kind of tests do you do after it's removed
So-
to make sure it's not malignant and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so 2 other things. One, some people would do something called monitoring. That's where we check like your brain waves during the procedure and if they're firing. I don't tend to do that in these because we're going to take the tumor out no matter what they tell us.
Sure.
If they tell us we're pushing on and your motor strength is down, we know it. We're going to try to avoid it, but it's not going to change what we do, so we won't do that. In terms of, we send it to a pathologist, a
Sure.
neuropathologist. His name's Stuart Neal at Grady. He works at Emory and Grady. He's the Grady assigned guy, and he puts under a microscope and does all kinds of tests. And we'll tell you what it is and then what grade it is.
And
Grade 1 is normal, benign. Grade 2 is the middle grade, and 3 is malignant. If it's a meningioma, if it's something else, it's got a whole different grading scale.
right, okay. But there's nothing that you can't go from there until you know what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
We would send him a piece during the start of the case, which he can give us an idea about.
Mhm.
So he'll be able to say, oh, it's an apple, or oh, it's an orange, but he won't. By the time he's done, he can tell you what state the apple was harvested in.
Right, okay.
But that takes about a week.
And like
So yeah, that's about a week for the pathology to come back.
okay. Now
Seven.
I've heard of course stories that sometimes people have these things for years and they have no idea.
Most of the time they do. They're very slow
Okay.
growing, and they, like
Do
I
they
said,
affect people during their lives or until it gets to a point
that's the
where
thing. Sometimes they're big and they grow quickly. Sometimes they don't grow for years. Like I said,
it's random?
over half of women over the age of 80 will have one, but the vast majority of them are so small that it's just if we went looking for it. we'd find it.
Gotcha.
They're like, when I say so small, yours is like 3-4 centimeters. Theirs are 2 or 3 millimeters.
Oh.
That's what I mean small.
Oh,
Super
okay.
small.
Okay.
And no one understands why you developed a 3.5 centimeter one, and the lady down the street is 93 and has 3-4 millimeter ones. That
Yeah. That it's just a very random. There's no
no
oh,
one's
it's
figured it out.
because you were.
Which makes it tough. Yours is easy because you're symptomatic, not easy. But the surgery's harder. But this discussion you and I are having now is easy. I've got a guy in my office I saw last week who has one almost in the exact same place, a little more forward, so he's not weak. So he has no weakness. He's 73 years old.
I wouldn't do it.
That's what he's grappling with. The problem is if it decides to grow, he's going to be 83 when it decides to grow, of course.
So
And it's not tiny where I would say, and I don't have the right answer. I
Right.
basically can just
that's him.
tell him
Yeah,
this
mine's
is the
kinda-
data, and you have to. Some people just want to get it out, some people don't. But yeah,
Mine's pretty easy.
I agree with you. I
don't-
probably wouldn't do it if I was him at 73.
I wouldn't.
But he hasn't decided to, but
Right.
he's, we're following it every 6 months, and he comes back to talk, and,
Yeah.
he's a nice guy.
Well,
This last time he said he's gonna decide after he has his wrist surgery, he has some broken wrists, so I'll let you know.
Yeah. Recovery for, like, would I have to wear a helmet or anything like
No.
that? This is okay.
Unless there was some unforeseen problem with their swelling that
Right.
leave the bone off or something. If they're swelling with something, we will not put the bone back on, but odds of that in this are super,
Okay.
super low.
The hospital stay, how long is that typically?
Depends on your leg, to be honest.
Okay.
If it was like up here and you woke up and you were fine, you go home in 3-4 days. With your leg, you might need rehab, which can take a number of days to set up. If all goes well, you'll be in the ICU one day, and then you'll be on the floor. And if you have to go to rehab, insurance has to clear, all that stuff can take
Mhm.
quite some time.
But would that typically be something like a week or 2 weeks, or is?
It's usually a few days.
Okay,
It's usually
But that's
again,
the
provide no
patient-
complication, be under a week. usually.
yeah,
Rehab would really depend how you're doing. It could be a few weeks.
And that's here in the hospital?
No, it would be usually at a facility, depending on your insurance.
okay, but probably closer to my home. and-
You can pick one by your house, yes,
Okay.
of course.
But I won't be able to drive at that point.
Well, it'd be inpatient, like you'd be in the
Oh,
place.
oh,
If you're weak post-op.
okay,
My guess
okay.
is you're gonna end up with it given your leg weakness.
Okay, so we're guessing
Yeah.
inpatient is a probable, but we don't
Probably,
know.
because the therapist, after you get better, the therapist checks you out and sees how you're doing.
Yeah,
The problem is you unfortunately live alone, so if somebody's borderline and they're going home with their kids, or they're going home with, their sister, or,
Right.
that next door neighbor.
well, and my aunt might be able to.
then
I mean,
that can change things sometimes.
Okay,
but
yeah, it's kind of like
They
a
just have
coordination.
to, basically the physical therapist has to say you're safe to go home.
I see what you're saying. Well, I think maybe doing that might,
It's not a bad thing if you're
Yeah.
gonna slowly get better, yeah,
because then.
for a week or two.
Because
you're safe.
it's not like my aunt is
Yeah.
young, she's in her 80s, so,
Yeah. She can go
Um,
to your
okay. But there's not gonna be anything like, oh my god, she's gonna need home health care or anything like that, they're not gonna let me go.
If you need home, if you're too good for a rehab facility, they would send you home with probably home PT or home
Okay,
health care.
oh, okay,
So it's a continuum. So after
Okay.
surgery, the occupational therapist, physical therapist, they check you out and they decide.
okay,
That's their job. And it can be, it ranges from home with nothing, to home with a visiting nurse, to home with visiting nurse and PT, to rehab, to,
oh,
I hate to say it,
there's a
nursing home.
whole,
There's a spectrum, and there's
Okay.
somebody called a caseworker who works with you and your family to pick a place
And
if you have to go
that's-
somewhere else, or they set
and
up
that's
the
like
home,
my advocate.
or they set up the VNA and stuff. Yeah, they say they're your advocate. They really work for the hospital because their goal is to get you out of here as quickly as possible.
Right.
But you can never go anywhere without your consent, if that makes sense.
Gotcha,
But they're always trying to push the place on you. I didn't say this, though. I get in trouble for saying this, but their goal is to turn the beds over.
right,
They say they're your advocate, but their real goal is to turn the beds over.
okay.
So they're the person who, their job is if the therapist says she's clear to go home with a visiting nurse and it's 3 o'clock, that lady's job
Is
is
to get me
between
out at
3 to
3
5
o'clock.
o'clock.
Yeah.
No, it's to find a visiting nurse who's going to agree to come to your house tomorrow morning if they get you. And then
I see,
because if we can't find a visiting nurse to come to your house within 36 hours,
To bed you.
we're not allowed to send you home as a doctor.
I see,
So we
Okay.
make you wait till the next day. So,
okay, okay,
but you get.
okay.
Well, I mean,
That
it
must be
doesn't.
so annoying.
It is. That's why
It's
we
like
gotta-
frustrating.
As when you're, fortunately, I know the advantage of working here, not Erlanger. The guy at Erlanger probably has a nurse or nurse practitioner or PA who does it for him.
Right.
Because I have residents, they do all that stuff.
Right, right, no, that's good.
I haven't gotten called by a case manager in 5 years, and I like it that way.
How long does the surgery actually take?
It's a perspective thing. For this nice lady, if she comes, it's all day because she says goodbye in the pre-op. You go back, anesthesia screws around for an hour or two. We set up the computers, we do the surgery, blah blah blah. For you, it feels like nothing because you wake up. For me,
Right.
it's probably 2 to 3 hours of working time.
Okay.
Of actually, once we start cutting, there's a lot of set. It's like flying a plane. There's a lot of checklists and
Yeah.
Oh, well,
stuff.
yeah, you just don't wanna go,
and the
hey!
computer, and the computer programs and all that
That's
shit.
Yeah. Okay, I won't be awake during the procedure. That was
We
like-
do those, but you don't need that.
That would freak me out.
Then you would not be a good candidate for that.
Okay, are you the one that's gonna be doing the surgery, or is it
If you like
assigned by
me,
a team?
if you like me, it'd be me and one of my
You,
residents
I think you.
help me.
He likes
And
it.
you
It's
have
luck
lots
of the
of
draw. I just
experience.
grabbed your chart.
You have lots of experience.
We do a lot of these.
Okay.
They're very common.
Okay. Will I be in any pain?
I did one 3 times the size last Tuesday.
Oh, really?
This, yes.
3
Wow.
times?
This quick. We've been pain a little bit, but nothing horrible.
Okay.
Most people find brain surgery shockingly maybe not that bad.
Somebody told me that, and I'm like,
There's no muscle in your head, so muscle is what hurts.
oh.
and we're far enough back.
There's no pain.
There's pain in the skin and stuff, that's what hurts, but the brain itself doesn't hurt.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's why we can do it awake.
Yeah.
And numb up your skin.
Which I'm not.
No.
Okay.
If we do it in the back, you know, where you have muscle and there's muscle over
Oh,
here, those people
that
hurt.
would hurt. Yeah. Okay.
And that's why
But I'll get pain
that's why if
pills
you've ever had a gallbladder, yeah, you do get plenty of pain pills, but that's why if you're at your gallbladder, your appendix, whatever, that hurts because
There's so much
muscle of your abdominal wall.
Right. This is kind of an odd one, but how long will it be before like I can speak or communicate? Or is that just random? You just see how it
As soon
is.
as you wake up,
Okay.
as long as
Oh.
there's no problem with your speech.
Okay.
You're gonna be out of it for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what anesthesia is designed for.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good.
You probably wouldn't want to be out of it, trust me.
Yeah.
Could me drinking caffeinated coffee make my seizures come on or no?
Probably not.
Good.
Sleep deprivation
God.
can.
See, you slept well last night and you didn't have
I
one this
did.
morning.
I've been
Makes
waking
a
up at 2 o'clock in the
It's what
morning.
we do
not
when
letting me
people
sleep.
don't have seizures. So we sometimes will be, I don't do it, but some of my partners do seizure surgery, like they take out part of the brain that's causing seizures. And sometimes they'll actually, when they can't figure out where their seizure is, they'll put a grid in their brain. So they'll actually put under the covering the brain, they'll put, it looks like a little computer grid to try to pick up which part of the brain is seizing. So of course, whenever you do that, the patient never seizes.
Of course.
Guaranteed,
Oh,
yeah.
they never cease.
Yeah.
So then they start sleep depriving them, because you're sitting there with tubes coming out of their head,
You're in a
waiting
torture
for
chamber.
seizures. They literally stop letting them sleep, they start flashing bright lights, all kinds of things that cause
Oh, you're
seizures.
kidding. Okay,
But
so
you're
I need
right.
to make sure I sleep, and that will probably help also.
It should help the seizure.
Okay,
I mean,
okay.
Make sure.
it won't necessarily help, but not sleeping can make them worse. How's that sound?
That makes sense. The only thing I was like concerned about, like, you know, while I'm waiting for the surgery, what do I have to be aware of? But I think we pretty much covered that with don't fall
Yeah.
down. You know.
Yeah, be careful, please.
Yeah, and okay, okay, because of the situation, and I know this is a dumb question, but because of the situation I was in which my insurance was like, guess what? Nuh-uh. Do I need to verify that all the doctors are in network with, or do y'all do that?
You're gonna go meet somebody who will get your
Okay.
info and do that if you need to
Okay.
sign up for surgery.
Okay.
Potentially today even.
Okay.
They do
Now-
all that. They won't let you won't
They won't let
It's
me
not one of
get
these
through
weird-
the process.
magazine articles where you're gonna get some ridiculous bill because you didn't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that
This is great. Trust me, they're happy you have some insurance.
because my sister was already 5 hours in her drive from Virginia, and I had to tell her to turn around,
Yeah, it shouldn't.
and it was like
You shouldn't.
Somebody dropped the ball.
somebody
Yeah.
I know who did,
Because
and
you're
I,
supposed to get pre-approved, and yeah.
Yeah,
There's a
it
reason why
didn't
we're not
happen.
signing you up for surgery tomorrow.
right.
Where it,
All the
It
ducks
takes
have to be in a
time.
row. Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna take 1.5 of those. Okay, I'm done.
when do you want to do it?
As soon as possible.
When can you do it?
As soon as
2 weeks?
possible.
Got
Okay.
time tomorrow?
So that's the insurance problem. 2 weeks is the safe time to get the MRI and get that done.
Okay.
You have to come down here for the MRI. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
You can stay with me
Because
that
what
night.
our game plan is that, because isn't that a couple days before typically?
Anytime they can get you in.
Okay.
If
we
you're
could do
lucky,
it
you have to go meet the anesthesiologist.
Okay.
So hopefully, if you coordinate well, they'll give you all the numbers and stuff.
Mhm.
You can maybe get your MRI the same day you meet the anesthesiologist. Like you
Okay.
can meet them in the morning, and in the afternoon get the MRI, or that
Mhm.
morning, or vice versa, or that night.
So
But
kind
you-
of the game plan that we had thought of is that, and this is just, if it works out, she could come and get me at home like the night before, whatever the test day is.
Yeah.
I would stay at her place for that day, the next day.
Maybe you can get your MRI and your anesthesiologist appointment a couple days before the surgery.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then just kind of stay down
Exactly.
here as opposed to going back and forth, back
That's
and
fine.
forth. So, does that seem like a doable thing?
Should be. Well, they're gonna give. Somebody else handles all this stuff.
Sure.
To be honest, I just picked today. So 2 weeks from now would be the Friday before Labor Day. If you're okay with that. 2 weeks is
Is that not?
2 weeks is when you wanna is about the amount of time we have to do it to get your insurance. Sometimes we can push for a week, but it'll be kind of.
I don't want to go through the situation
so
where.
2 weeks should be safe.
Okay.
It's just kind of the borderline, it's right where we are.
Right, because
So-
that might have been what happened earlier. 'Cause of
Yeah,
Christopher
so
Lee.
2 weeks should be okay.
Okay, so
With
that's
Blue
the
Cross, you don't
first.
have United, right?
Yeah, Blue Cross.
United sucks.
Oh.
Blue Cross.
Really?
Yeah,
So-
United just
they
the
they
worst.
bailed,
They make,
didn't they? They bailed on a.
oh, I don't know, they're just the most painful.
Gotcha.
Hey, nice.
I'll put it this way, I had a young kid I was doing a procedure on, actually, so I do angiograms too and like embolization. It was like a pre-op thing where we actually like kind of make it so I didn't bleed as much. And they approved it at the last minute, and then, it's a long story, but I couldn't do it, I had like a family emergency. So my partner there to do it, and they refused to approve it for my partner. to do
Oh
it.
no,
It's just like, really?
that's ridiculous.
They finally did after 12 hours waiting. So the kid sat there from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and they finally
That's
did.
horrible.
But
That's
yeah,
horrible.
that was a couple weeks ago. It's in my mind.
So September 1st sounds good with you?
Second,
Second.
Friday. We don't operate here on Thursdays.
Okay.
Once some Thursdays we do, but we operate Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. Don't ask me. Thursday because we're here in clinic.
Oh, okay. I don't know how it works. I've never been.
That's just how
I've never had surgery. Well,
everybody works. Yeah.
second grade I had a small surgery, but I don't even remember it.
So if
So
you're
I've never
agreeable,
had
it'll be
it.
Friday the 2nd,
Okay.
and I'll get you the paperwork.
Okay.
Full disclosure, okay? I'm sorry, I tell people I'm leaving town for the weekend, going to see my wife's family,
Okay.
Saturday the 3rd.
Okay.
We're not leaving till Saturday morning, so I'm not gonna be rushing or
Okay.
anything. But my partner, Dr. Perdita, will be covering. If
Okay.
God forbid you had a problem, he would take care of it.
Right.
I'm sorry, I always tell my patients.
That's
That's
really
fine.
nice of you to tell.
Thank you so
Sorry,
much.
I don't love to leave town the day after surgery. He's good, so I don't mind. But,
Yeah, no.
He's also one to bring it, but yeah, I just tell people it's gonna be the next day. Yeah, I
Yeah.
never, trust me, when I was a resident, I used to have attendings, you know, that's what I technically am, right? Who would book surgery, they'd have like a flight at 4 o'clock and they book surgery at 8 a.m. I'd be like, nuts.
That's crazy.
Right,
I'd
right.
be like,
No,
dude,
well, thank
the
you.
next day is my limit, but
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Okay.
Sorry, we haven't seen my sister-in-law or in-laws in
That's okay. I
6
understand.
months. Alright, so
As long
I'll
as
get
you
some
get it back.
paperwork. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Yes, we always have.
27 minutes so far. I recorded all that.
Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
I'm psyched. I'm good for 2 weeks.
This is just great.
It is. I love him.
Mm-hmm.
I love him.
You can tell he cares.
He actually shared information.
He gave you more
Seriously.
information than we could have even asked for. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
That prick over it earlier. I was like, oh. Oh.
I'm so glad
Oh.
you didn't go through
Oh my God. Oh my God.
This worked out so much
Perfect.
better.
Meant to be. Everything's gonna be fine.
Yes, everything's gonna be fine.
Okay, September 2nd.
Perfect.
I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy.
Yeah, hopefully they can just get your other appointments scheduled a couple days before.
Yeah. I mean, y'all don't care. It'll be fun.
It'll be fun.
You know. So,
That'll give
let's
your
say,
sister time to get her ducks in a row.
yeah. So let's say I get probably get out on Tuesday. They'll probably send me to rehab for 3 days. So I'm just gonna assume, because I didn't realize how bad this was.
Yeah.
I really didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we'll just, it's gonna wait till I do the rehab. I can't figure out when I'm gonna get back to work.
I would plan on being at the
Out through
hospital.
September.
I would plan on being in the hospital for 2 weeks.
No,
You know,
you said 3 to 5 days.
that's including rehab?
No.
'Cause he said sometimes it takes a few days to get rehab scheduled. It's on the recording.
Right, yeah. Yeah, you're right. I see what you're saying. But I would do inpatient rehab for a few days first,
Yeah.
and then home.
Mm-hmm.
But they won't let me go home
They'd send you to a facility.
until I can take care of myself with just, you know.
They would send you to a rehab facility that
Right.
insurance covers.
So basically, I think in a nutshell we can say I probably won't be back to work until October or the last week in September, but assuming all goes well, that's not so bad.
I would think October, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
1st to mid-October would probably be.
we'll have to see, you know, but Okay. Okay, now I'm excited.
This appointment went way better than I even expected.
Oh, me too.
Mhm.
I love him.
Yeah, I do too.
I love him. Hey. And Rita, remember I said that's the head guy.
Yeah.
He's the one that's in charge.
Yeah.
Well, now they're all like the group, but he's the guy that's in charge of brain surgery at Emory. I couldn't ask for him. But they'll make sure everybody can.
And the pastas.
Yeah.